Hi, I'm Tamsin Bellaby. Thank you for joining me. This is my presentation for International Women's Day for the Women Ed conference that was held in March 2021. My title of my talk today is Don't Hate the Player, Hate the Game, and choose to challenge outdated gender stereotypes of leadership. So, as females, we are encouraged to lean in, to take our place at the table. We are told repeatedly that we have achieved parity with our male colleagues. Apparently, the fight is won. And yet, figures released by the Future Leaders Trust in 2015 and many other studies that have followed since show that the overall proportion of women taking on head teacher positions is not reflected by the proportion of women within the workforce. While the overall picture shows a lack of gender diversity, the issue is far more prevalent in secondary schools. Here, 38% of the workforce are male and 62% are female. But when you look at head teachers, the numbers are reversed. Just 36% are women. I am openly ambitious. I aspire to be a head teacher one day. I would like to be a good one too. Sadly, it's my observation that my ambition is not celebrated, but viewed with suspicion. Female aspiration is treated differently from male aspiration. My own experience would suggest this. I've been accused of not being student-focused, advised that I should stand back from successful initiatives that I have led to allow others to shine, or that many hours of hard work on a charitable community project are somehow because I want promotion or because I want to claim the glory. I've never heard this type of criticism levelled at my male colleagues. In my experience, females who work hard, who hold and dare to share strong opinions, and who are openly ambitious are held to different and far more confusing moral standards than their male counterparts. I have been given lots of advice. One of the perks of being an openly ambitious female is that often other female leaders want to support your journey by sharing their experience and their wisdom. I cannot tell you how grateful I am for the support and the advice that I have been given. These are often from inspirational women that I look up to, women that I aspire to emulate one day. However, there seems to be some patterns to the advice and guidance that I've been given. So I've lost count of the times of how many times I've been called bossy, intimidating, assertive, and at the time, the assertive comment, I was thinking, what comments? I was thinking, oh, okay, that's not too bad. Assertive, this is good. It wasn't meant as a compliment. So, Tamsin, be more measured in your opinion. Tamsin, your colleagues have said that you spoke too much in that meeting. Please consider saying less. Tamsin, be softer, be gentler, less emotional, quieter. I've been told that I'm formidable, but apparently this is an issue. This requires attention. Whilst being formidable as a head teacher and it is an asset, it seems being formidable is not desirable for an aspiring female leader. I was left questioning my every sentence, my every thought. What do you do if an inspirational leader gives you the gift of feedback? You lean in. Please tell me how I should behave. So I was instructed I should be more emotional, more human, show more vulnerability, be less calm in a crisis, more flappable. The feedback sparked personal reflection. Am I intimidating? Or did the problem lie with them? Do they find me intimidating? If my professional behaviour was dominating or sort of hurtful, unreasonable, then I definitely needed to change. But on reflection, I wasn't unreasonable. I was just assertive and confident, characteristics that my male colleagues are publicly praised for. By being a female who is assertive and comfortable in her own skin, I made others uncomfortable. In the book, Women Don't Owe You Pretty by Florence Given, she asks, maybe I am too much, or maybe my abundance just reminds you that you're lacking. The common theme of the feedback was for me to alter my behaviour so that I fell in with the expected gender stereotypes of a young, aspiring female leader. The secret to being a successful leader was to play a role, a caricature of myself. And that character must be less of a threat, less assertive, less intimidating, certainly less formidable. Less, less, less. I still genuinely believe that the suggestions and advice came from places of kindness, and a belief that this feedback was somehow a gift to aid my development, like sharing a secret recipe for acceptance. This is possibly the route to leadership that my role models were forced to take. They had no choice. Historically, female leaders stepped up to leadership in two ways. Number one, by performing femininity. So behaving in an overly female way, consciously dressing in a way that pleases the male gaze, downplaying their intelligence, speaking less, agreeing with the room more, remaining an ally, never a threat. Or, number two, by assimilating stereotypical male characteristics. So being so masculine that they are accepted almost as sort of one of the lads, dressing in manly suits, flat shoes, shunning anything openly female, soft or compassionate. Now, in 2021, my character doesn't naturally fit with either of these binary behaviours, and nor should it. I have followed the advice that I've been given. I deliberately held my tongue during meetings. I took up less airtime. I was softer, quieter, more amiable. I sent less challenging emails. I questioned my leaders less. I'm ashamed to say I even strategically wore floral and floaty dresses to meetings with colleagues who reportedly found me intimidating or too much. I applied pink lipstick, not because it made me feel fabulous, but because I might be judged as less of a threat if I looked pretty. Men don't worry about this stuff. They do not worry about how their appearance affects the validity of what they have to say or how they might be perceived. I should add a caveat here. I love a floral floaty dress and I love some pink lipstick. I also love a flat brogue with a manly suit, but it's important to reflect on why I deliberately chose to alter my professional image from my usual sort of work uniform. However, the promise of acceptance was hollow. I silently watched as colleagues, though well-meaning, made terrible decisions that would negatively affect children's learning and ultimately their futures. And in these meetings, I said nothing. I played the part that was expected of me, but those expectations were too low, and I fell to meet them. My new behaviour made others feel at ease, comfortable, but I felt deeply uncomfortable. I was not serving the students or the community. I was being calculating and selfish, the very behaviour I have been accused of previously when I spoke my mind. The irony is that my assertive nature, my confidence, my courage, and my ambition is my strength. Yes, it makes others uncomfortable, but not because I'm unkind or mean. I hope never to be that colleague. I think they feel uncomfortable because I ask difficult questions that others shy away from. I recognise that I have much to learn about leadership in education, and I work hard on improving myself as a human, but I am not willing to constrain my natural strengths to fit others' ideas of how I should behave. I want to be the best version of myself for the students and staff and community that I serve. I'd like you to ask yourself these questions, and I'd like you to answer them truthfully. Have you ever sold out on a feminist dream? Shamelessly flirted with your boss to get ahead? Famed stupidity? Dressed to please others and not yourself? Agreed with a terrible idea so as not to be judged as difficult? Have you consciously made yourself less? I have. How do we ensure that the female leaders that stand upon our shoulders can see further than we can? How do we ensure that our daughters never have to question the space that they are taking up in the world? Well, I pose this answer. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Don't hate the women who perform femininity to get ahead at work. They do not yet have the courage to break free from the shackles of outdated gender expectations. Those chains are heavy and long. I am guilty of angrily ranting about other women who play the professional femininity game. I have been one of those women. I've been bitter and resentful. But I now understand that it takes courage and a strong sense of self to challenge a system alone. And so we have to be the change. We have to forge ahead. We have to light the way for others to see that it is safe to follow us. We have to change the system for future female leaders, for our daughters, so that they can concentrate on leading with integrity and knowledge rather than trying to be less. We need to build critical mass to change the system. We need support from the male allies who see us, respect us, and value us for who we really are. Men who feel thrilled to see aspiring female leaders succeed and rise up, rather than feel threatened by them. We cannot stand divided. Just like the suffrage movement, women alone will not change the system. Let us celebrate and support the men around us and work with them to create school cultures in which women can truly be themselves, in which we all ask, men and women, would I say that to a male colleague? Or would my male colleague have received that feedback? Let's stop telling women to be less. Celebrate them giving schools more. Empowered women empower women. It starts with love. It starts with choosing to be kind. Kindness is not weakness. Kindness is strength. The patriarchy survives and thrives by dividing women, pitching us against each other. Know that there is enough room for us all. Women must lift and support one another. If you notice a woman performing femininity to get ahead, don't hate the player, hate the game. Kindly show her there is another way. Invite her to Women Ed. Loan her a feminist book from your personal collection. Be her badass role model. The late and great Judge Ruth Bader Ginsburg said, "Use your voice, even if it is a whisper." Your voice, no matter how small, is powerful. I'd like to give you some practical advice in how you can use your voice, no matter how small. Don't apologise for reasonable requests. Men don't. I see so many women begin sentences with this. This might be a silly question, but I'm sorry, but would you mind? It's only me. A caveat before you speak devalues what you have to say. In the words of John Tomset, this much I know about challenging the pervasive, outdated means of reaching the upper echelons of educational leadership for females. It is for the benefit of all the women who follow us. We must break and reshape the mould for those who will succeed us. What's the alternative? As a current and future female leader in education, I will offer younger, less experienced leaders the advice that I needed to hear, whether they're male or female. Number 1, serve your students, staff, and community with your own personal strengths. Number 2, do not bend or alter who you are because your strengths remind others of their own latent insecurities. And number 3, be kind. Your school needs you to be at your most impressive. not you at your most subservient. Thank you so much for listening.